Hello. It's Thursday. I think it's December 22nd, 2022. This is my last day of work before we have a week and a couple of days off. I don't work Friday. I don't work next week, and I don't work the following Monday. I go back to work on the 3rd. I could really use the break. For my viewer that catches this early enough, we're going to do a live stream this afternoon. I hope all of my viewers shows up. Never done a live stream before. Doing it mostly as a joke because I only have one viewer, and he may not even know that I'm going to do it, which I think, again, to me it's very hilarious. You may notice that I'm wearing a hideous sweater today, and that's because it's hideous sweater day at work. I looked at it. I don't know. I really don't have a very well-defined sense of taste. Maybe it's not as ugly as I think it is. I suspect it is, but to offset it, I wore like one of my really old. I have a collection of ties, and this is one of my old, ugly polyester ties. Most of the day, people probably won't be able to see it because my collar button's down and my sweater keeps riding up. Isn't that a song? I felt like it was following the same cadence as Going the Distance by Cake. Knowing that I'm going to get in the car every morning now and try to talk for an hour and a half, you would think that some planning, some kind of preparation would take place, and sadly it doesn't. I don't really think about what I'm going to talk about. I just, I get in the car and I realize, oh yeah, I gotta record, and I should stop here for coffee. See what I mean? That's just a reference to an other video. I was driving by one of the places I talk about that has coffee. I probably will get coffee. I will probably make the mistake of getting coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts. Way overpriced, but extremely convenient. What I didn't mention in the other video is the advantage that Dunkin' Donuts has over Turkey Hill, not over McDonald's, but over Turkey Hill, is drive-through. That is, I don't know if that's worth the extra $2. It's not. I do know the answer. It's not worth the extra $2. But since the other problem is the places where I get coffee that are cheaper are so early into my run that, again, I'm not functioning properly. I haven't had coffee yet, so I forget to get coffee. Ugly sweater day at work. So today there's also the auditors come in, and we have to we used to do it after the building had closed, which I think is crazy. Like, we've convinced them, it's like, why don't we do it on the last day of work instead of coming back into work to do the audit? It just seems you got more depth and breadth of people to help you find stuff. It's a physical audit. We have a bunch of things in the building, and the audit's just to, like, verify inventory, verify work in progress, stuff like that, make sure the stuff's there. I'm really not sure. I actually don't know why they have to physically verify that product is there, but it's part of the audit, so we do it. I'm sure there's a very good reason, and if I'd already had my coffee, I'd think of what it is, but what it is. So, ugly sweater, last day of work. There's a tradition that me and my wife have had for, I think it's for a couple of decades now, is for New Year's Eve, we would this went on for a long time. Like, we used to go out to parties. We would either spend New Year's Eve with some friends, or we would go to big parties like at Dave and Buster's, or sometimes there would be someone would run a fire hall, and we do that kind of stuff. And at one point, we decided to New Year's Eve was just us at home. We'd get a bottle of wine and we'd buy a couple of pounds of king crab legs. That's the tradition. We call them blegs. I don't know why I started doing that. I say everything wrong on purpose. But king crab legs and wine is typically our New Year's Eve. And like every year, I start looking in November trying to find crab legs, and they've gotten more and more expensive every year. This year they are ridiculously expensive. The number is so high I can't even count that high. It's like I believe it's well over $45 a pound for crab legs, and both of us are like, that's just ridiculous. I can cook, so I can make something else. Like, even though they're not cheap, like we're tossing, spitballing ideas. Like maybe I'll make some scallops or bacon wrapped scallops or something like that. Like regular crabs. If you've had king crab legs, you know the difference between eating king crab legs and just eating a pot of regular crabs. It's night and day. It's a lot of there's a lot of work for very little meat when you're dealing with just the regular crabs, even snow crabs. But I may go that route. Like people hate change. I hate change too. Not only that, but I really like crab legs. And again, it's a once a year thing, so you weigh it in your head. Do you do the luxury, like, because you don't do it out of habit. You do it because you like it. Like we don't eat crab legs during the year at all because they're expensive. So I'm like wondering, is it worth it for that one night for us? I mean, we enjoy them. It's funny. It's a painful experience. We steam them, and if you've ever had king crab legs, they're like rose stalks. They've got the thorns on them and stuff like that. So when you're busting into them, and again, like after this many years, there's probably a method for getting into them that we're just not doing. Like we do have like industrial shears and hammers and nutcrackers and things like that, but invariably your hands still get torn up eating this meal. It's a labor of love. So anyway, I'm just mostly saying it out loud, trying to decide what I want to do. Do I want to spend it's not a ridiculous amount of money, but it's still like, that's like just for a couple of pounds, like we could take 3 people to a really nice restaurant for full meals, like a couple of steak meals, some drinks. It's truly become a luxury item at this point, and I don't know if I'm willing to do it. I think I milked that for all it's worth, and I didn't come to a conclusion. Sorry, I have to turn on the defroster for the front window and turn the speed fan down a little bit. So as I said, I've been putting posts on my channel. It's in the community tab. One of the things I said is I won't be publishing content on Wednesdays. And as soon as I made that post, I promptly posted 2 videos, basically just practice videos, just like these are. Really, I have no intentions of having a YouTube channel. I'm literally doing this because my one friend told me to, and I'm that easily manipulated. So yesterday I threw up a couple of quick posts. One about, it's a silly little thing you do with a pen, where you can have it over your hand, and then you flip your hands around and it's under, you flip it over and it's under. It's easy to do when you know how to do it, but when someone watches you do it and tries to do it, it's very difficult. You have to know how to do it. Like, it sounds silly, just flipping your hand around and getting the pen underneath and flipping it around and getting the pen on top. The motion looks simple, and it is simple. There's just one little trick to it to make it work. Otherwise, you end up doing this weird stuff with your hands, and the pen goes sideways. It's funny. I taught my daughter to do it, and she messes with her friends at school with it. The other video, I thought about doing a bunch of, they're really just practice, just trying to get me comfortable in front of the camera. Like, I'm clearly still nervous when I'm talking to the camera and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get more comfortable so I can make better content for my viewer. But the other video, I'm thinking about doing a series. I collect, other than ties, I have a vast collection of ties for no apparent reason. As I explained in a previous video, I don't need to wear a tie. I'm the only guy at work that wears a tie. I like ties. I continue to collect ties. I literally have hundreds of ties. But I also collect slide rules, as you do, and I know how to use a slide rule. If you watch the video, you can see that I'm not clearly great at explaining how to use a slide rule, because after I posted the video, well, even while I was making the video, I realized what I was doing. I didn't make any crucial mistakes with the instructions on how to use the slide rule. What I didn't do was use a good example for the second mathematical problem, because I was talking about when I said to ignore the decimal and stuff like that. Like, well, you really didn't have to, because I actually went to 1.5. Like, I wasn't doing 15 times 25. That's what I should have said. 15 times 25, and then I should have said go to the 1.5 mark, but if you ignore the decimal, it's 15. Anyway, if you watch the video, it's very short, and I thought about just doing video by video, like just do a bunch of videos for all the things that you can do with the slide rule, and just make them bite-sized. Not teach you everything in one video, just like have a series. So if you want to know how to do something specific with a slide rule, you just go to that video, and that's all you get. And maybe even go into, explaining what all the different scales are, maybe the history of slide rules, the different kinds. Slide rules are really interesting. I mean, I don't know if you know this, but that's when they were landing people in the room, the people, all the engineers, like, they're sitting there, they don't have electronic calculators, they're sitting there with slide rules doing like calculating orbits and things like that. It's pretty amazing how good people used to be at using these things before electronic calculators were invented. Very cold out this morning. It's going to get very warm. It's going to get up into the 50s by tonight. The temperature is going to keep rising through the night. Currently outside right now, it's in the 20s, and so my nose is running a little bit. It's going to continue to rise throughout the day. Overnight, it's going to rise in the 50s, and then it's going to... Oh no! I think they're closed. Ooh, shit. That was the almost accident that my viewer was hoping for. It looks like they are closed. This is unfortunate. Let's see. Maybe it's just timing. Maybe you haven't turned the lights on yet.
How can I help you?
Hi, could I have a large black coffee, please?
Anything else for that?
That's it.
Okay, you can pull around.
Thanks. Thanks. You too. So all the lights in the parking lot are off, and the sign is off. So I don't know if they just opened or they just haven't turned the lights on. Maybe they don't want customers, but I almost didn't stop in because they look closed, and because I almost got into an accident there. It's a circle. It's dangerous. You're supposed to yield. I'm probably the one that made the mistake there. I think he was a little over-exaggerating. We weren't as close as he made it seem by honking his horn at me, but again, I do believe I was probably at fault there. So anyway, where was I? I was getting coffee. I was talking about something. Nose was running. I'd already covered crabs. I think I beat it to death. Ties, slide rules. Oh, videos, right. So, like I said, I want to do incremental series, and then the history. I guess I kind of finished that thought off. I think it would be fun, but like the first one I did was, which is multiplication, probably the simplest thing you could do with a slide rule. I think I would like to make a slightly better one, and maybe instead of using my pudgy little fingers to point at things, I might get a pointer. I need a way. I mean, I don't think I need a better camera. I need to learn how to use, like for close-up stuff like that, my iPhone should be good. I noticed that the video is pixelated, and I don't know if that has anything to do with the conversion up to YouTube, or if I'm just not using my phone camera properly. It could be both. Probably is both, because I know I should have had a much better picture that close up. When it was in focus, it was great, but I noticed it kept going granular. It kept getting pixelized, like not blurry, but pixelated and blurry. But yeah, ties and slide rules. So I'm like just your typical average guy collecting the things that typical average guys collect. Before I started the video, I was going to talk about something had popped into my head. And oh, right. I wasn't sure how I was going to approach the subject, though. Because at some point, I remember at some point, like, yeah, if I'm talking about that, at some point I'm going to say, like, and here it is, or here it is, and point this way or that way, whichever way. Depends on, like, I'm not usually centered like this. Usually this is over a little bit. I'm usually off to one side, and that way I can point over here, and then you can insert the stuff there. So you might be wondering to yourself, what the hell is he talking about? So I was going to talk about Hercules and Xena. My wife was heavily into those shows. I forget what they're called, Xena, Warrior Princess, and Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, or something like that, but everybody just knows it as Hercules and Xena. And she was heavily into those shows. In fact, at some point, because it was an expensive habit, because I think like Burbank or wherever we had to go every year, well, she went every year for, and then we every year for the Xena conventions. Like I said, it's an expensive habit. They really, stuff is, memorabilia is overpriced. The 8x10 glossies, they really rape their fans. I mean, I don't know how, like, it's Creation runs it, but I don't know how much money gets back to the actual, if any, gets back to the actual talent. I mean, when they make appearances, I have to imagine they get paid, but it's, it's just to sustain Creation, which, I mean, it's not a bad thing. I mean, people love it. Like, they want to be close to the talent. They want the memorabilia. So, anyway, the story is she's heavily into that. Had, like, to the point where we had a Xena room, a shrine to the show. There's a lot of crossbreeding in the show Hercules and Xena. So if you're collecting Xena memorabilia. You're also collecting Hercules memorabilia. So she like has a bunch of dolls. Like I said, the 8x10 signed glossies, myriad of collectible toys and statues and chakra. And one of the reason I'm bringing this up, and the reason why later I'm going to point here, is because if you're watching this today, if you're watching it the day it's released, or even the week it's released, there's not going to be anything there when I point, because I wouldn't have edited it yet. But one of the things she actually purchased was a life-size statue of Kevin Sorbo from, I don't know the name of the episode off the top of my head. Again, in post-production, when I practice editing, I can just put the name of the episode right here. But it's a giant silver statue of Kevin Sorbo. He's standing there. We don't have the spear that he was holding, so that's missing from the statue. But the rest of the statue is there, just practically naked, like just with a towel. Kevin Sorbo standing in our vestibule. So, like I said, I'll put a picture of it right here in post. But like I said, if you're watching this anytime close to the date that I said it was today, it won't be there because I don't know when I'm going to get to edit it. But I will, because if I'm going to keep doing these, I'm going to need to practice. Not to mention, as we talked about earlier, there's a bunch of stuff in previous videos that has to be edited out. So, anyway, so off of that subject to going out to Burbank and California, we turned it into a vacation, which actually ended up being fun. We would go there, do the 3-day convention thing. It wasn't tons of fun for me. I wasn't really into it. Like I don't get starstruck. So in fact, one of the first times we were there, like we were in line to get signatures. So I'm an extra body, so I can get signatures for my wife. And the can't remember her name. Sarah Connor. I think that's the girl from Terminator. The girl who played Gabrielle. Her name eludes me right now. But she was, she's doing autographs, and something happens. So me and my wife are there. There's, I can't remember her name. The girl who played Gabrielle, and then some other actor. And something happened in front of us, so they do the signature, and we're just kind of stuck. So I start up a conversation with Gabrielle, just talking about, like, I know some of my friends are actors and things like that. I don't remember exactly what we're talking about, but I'm making small talk, and we're talking about different things. My wife is just staring at me, dumbstruck. It's like, how can you talk to these people? They're just people. There's nothing special about them. They happen to be actors. Their job is on TV. So that was really funny. But like I said, we turned it into a vacation. So we would spend, the 3 days or 2 days, whatever it was, at the convention, and then we would go to Vegas, and then we turned it into our holidays would be Vegas, and I think we would do a cruise out of California. And I think we did it wrong the first time. Like, we did a week in Vegas, and then we did a 3-day cruise on the big red boat. And a week in Vegas is too long. A lot of comedians talk about this. It's not too long for the same reasons that they say. It really is too long, though. It's expensive if you want to stay entertained with high quality entertainment. I mean, the shows are phenomenal. Like, we saw most of the Cirques out there, Ka, Zumanity. I didn't like Zumanity. I think there was another one out there too. I can't remember which one it was. It's been a really long time. Like, we've been to Vegas once since we had our kid, and we went out there to scatter some of my parents' ashes. My parents really liked Vegas, and they died, so we decided to scatter some of their ashes in Vegas. Before my mother died, I was trying to get her to Vegas one last time, but she just couldn't make the trip. So we ended up sending her to Atlantic City for a few days. Last night, nice vacation. Which it's a I should know my audience pretty well because there's only one viewer, but I don't know if you've ever been to Vegas. I'm sure you have had to been to Atlantic City. I don't know if you've ever been to Atlantic City to, like, you know, hang out in the casino scene. But it's night and day. Vegas is like literally orders of magnitude better than Atlantic City. It's phenomenal. Like, just the little differences, the big differences. Like, in Jersey, Atlantic City, you have to pay for parking everywhere. It's not the same with Vegas. Like, I think they get it. They know you're going to spend your money anyway, so why nickel and dime you for everything? Like, it's very easy to get comp drinks in Vegas as opposed to Atlantic City. Atlantic City, they're very tight. Like, it is, like, I haven't been there, like I said, in about a decade to Vegas, and then again, I haven't been to Atlantic City, but I can't imagine that it's changed. I am absolutely sure it's the same or worse than it's ever been. But Vegas is nice. It's just the whole feel. I mean, obviously, if you're going down the Philmont Street or going anywhere else, then it's big, it's bright, it's clean. It's like most of the casinos are handled. At least the major ones are handled the way like Disneyland handles themselves. They keep it clean. They keep it nice, and they try to keep you happy. They do a really good job. And like the thing is that, like in Vegas, they know they're going to get your money. So like I said, they don't nickel and dime you for everything, and they'll comp you drinks. Drinks aren't really that expensive. When you're buying them, yes, they are. But like to give it, like, they realize like they're not losing any money by comping you a drink. In fact, what they're doing is they're greasing the wheels. Once you're lubricated, you're more likely to gamble. So they're smart. They know what they're doing. Other shows that are fantastic out there, I couldn't even begin to list them all. Blue Man Group. We saw Blue Man Group twice. It wasn't a mistake. It was good both times, but we didn't really think about it. It was years later when we saw them the second time, but it was the exact same show. So it's really impressive the first time you see it. Like I really like the Blue Man Group show in Vegas. It's a really impressive thing the first time you see it. The second time you see it, you know what you're going to see, so it doesn't have the same impact. It's still a great show, but the first time you see Blue Man Group, it's fantastic. Like I said, all the Cirques, they're fantastic. Ka was probably the most amazing one. O was great. O is the one that's on water. Ka's the one that has that unbelievable stage, which actually ends up being part of, like, one of the actors in the show. It rises up, it drops, it comes up, spikes come out of it, people climb it. It's this amazing story. Zumanity, my least favorite one. Our friend that went with us the year we saw Zumanity, she actually got pulled up on stage, but the show itself, it didn't feel like it had any substance to it. It was definitely nowhere near as good as all the other shows. The production quality wasn't the same. It was really more of a burlesque show than anything else. Would not recommend. I mean, it might be someone else's cup of tea. I just didn't like it. The person that went with us that got pulled up on stage for Zumanity, she's aware of my YouTube page. I know she's probably looked at the beginning of one of these episodes where I'm driving to location, and I can't imagine that she would be interested in this kind of... I can't imagine anybody would be interested in this kind of content. Like, unless you like just noise in the background. Some people like to have the radio on, tuned to talk radio, not to listen to what's going on, just to have some kind of din in the background. I don't even know if this qualifies because my cadence is broken. I still obviously haven't gotten comfortable with this format. There is no script, so there's dead spaces where I'm not talking. It's mostly self-referential. Like right now, I'm talking about what I'm doing right now, And although that's funny to me, I don't think a lot of people appreciate that as humor. But I love meta stuff. I love recursive humor. I love fourth wall breaks, that kind of thing. So even though I have a week and a couple of days off, it's not it's not a lot of free time initially. Obviously, tomorrow is probably the mad dash to make sure that we've got the last of the Christmas shopping done before the traveling. We wish you a Merry. We used to have like a marathon every year. There was this trip we had to do. So Christmas, like, you know, all the craziness of Christmas shopping gets done, and then it's Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve we would spend at my wife's aunt's house. We would then the next morning we would go see my mother. After that, we would go see her mother and stepfather, and for lunch. Then we would come back to my mother's house. Then we would go to my aunt's house. Then we would come home. This is like all this other stuff is happening Christmas Day. Like Christmas Eve, it usually, for years, it wouldn't end until well after midnight. Then you go home. You have to get up really early because there's visiting my mom, then going with my mom and family to my aunt's house for Christmas breakfast, which was always fantastic. I have the recipe. It's this. I gotta call my aunt. I gotta call all my aunts. She made this fabulous, and she gave me the recipe. I gotta find it. It's just, I don't know. It's eggs and sausage in a casserole dish. Had it once a year. It was always fantastic. Yeah, now I really want to make that. I can taste it. It's just really good. The trip is now much shorter. It's not as hectic as it used to be. My parents have passed away. My aunt has moved away, so we don't visit my parents anymore Christmas. My aunt is too far away for us to do breakfast together. But we should do the call. Like I'm a terrible person. I don't stay in contact with anyone, at all. It's just like I'm not. I feel bad about it. Like I'm a normal person. Like I've got the emotions. Like, oh man, I haven't called that person in years, and now they're dead. Oh. So in order to stop that from happening, I should just, like, you know, especially around the holidays, I should just reach out and say hi to people. There's like a really good chance I won't, but I should, and I know that, which makes me a good person. Probably doesn't. It probably makes me worse of a person, but what are you going to do? I should probably call. The original list of things that Matt had asked me to talk about, I really wish I could think of them in the morning. Like, I do know, like, I do a lot of stuff. Like, I've explained in previous things, like, well, I haven't explained what I do for a living, but like, what, you know, other hobbies I have. Like, I can remodel a house. There's nothing I really can't do, very little I can't do in a house. The only thing I probably won't touch, like from a repair standpoint, like, this is even a lie because I know I've tried a little bit of it. Didn't work because what I was fixing wasn't the problem. Roofing, I've never, which is odd because I won't explain why, but I really don't feel comfortable doing roofing. I've like I have a slight fear of heights. I used to have a crippling fear of heights, to the point where I remember one time I was in an abandoned house. When I was a little kid, I was in an abandoned house. I had worked my way up to the roof, looked over the edge, and just crippling fear dropped flat. And I don't know what the point is of getting flat, but it's better than standing up or being crouched or anything. So I got flat and had to kind of belly crawl back into the building. So to get out. And what's great for childhood trauma is once I got into back into the abandoned building and started getting out, like high speed, like running. It's like, oh my God, I'm just so scared now because I'm alone. I was on a roof. That's scary. And then it's dark now. So all those wonderful childhood fears, because it was daytime, but it was an abandoned house and it was all closed up. So it was very, very dark. Windows and doors had been boarded up, but you get in. So as I'm running out of the house, it was not only abandoned, but it was probably I can't think of the word. I want to say quarantined, but you know what I mean. It was ripe for being knocked down because it was structurally unsound. Why can't I think of the word? It's just not gonna. It's not even on the tip of my tongue. It's literally like the word has been erased. I have the feeling that there's a word for this, but it doesn't exist. It's just like I'm fooling I know there is. I can't think of it. But it's literally so gone from my brain right now that I just don't feel like there's a chance of me guessing what it is. And I keep going back to quarantined, and that's not it. Not abandoned. It's in that genre. So anyway, it was that, and running out on the second floor, it was the floors, wooden subfloors. It's been soaked from rain for years. It was very spongy. Anyway, I fell through the floor, not through the floor. Running, my one leg just went right through the floor. And I'm already panicking. I'm trying to get out of the house because I was scared being on the roof. Now I'm scared being in this dark, abandoned building all by myself. My leg falls through the floor, and I just it was hilarious. I would love to have seen me at this point, because I'm already scared. Then I fall through the floor. How can the level of adrenaline just keep going higher and higher? But it was fantastic. I was scared out of my wits. I just climbed back up out of the hole. Only the one leg went in, and I got out of the building. I swear I just saw the word drive by in the back of my head and waved to me. Why do I keep going back to quarantined? I hope I remember the word by the end of the trip, because it's truly driving me crazy, to the point of distraction where obviously I'm talking about this word now instead of anything else. Condemned! I think condemned is it. If condemned is not it, it's probably very close to that. I'm pretty sure condemned is the word. Yeah, that's a really good fit. We're just going to go with that. This was sometime, I don't know how old I was exactly at the time. I had to be older than 5 and less than 12. That's all I can really narrow it down to. I think I was significantly less than 12, but older than 5. I know that because I know where I lived at that time, and I know when I lived there. So back to what I was trying to say, I have a lot of like everyone does, a bunch of ridiculous skills I picked up over the years. Some of them are just, they're not skills. A lot of things just about anybody could do, but a lot of people are afraid to. My audience, I know my audience is pretty bright. They're a pretty sharp group. Well, he is a pretty sharp individual because I have a single viewer. But like one of the things, like he knows, you just go do stuff and you find out that you can do stuff. That's the same way I was with doing stuff around the house, plumbing, electrical, drywall. My one issue with drywall, just bad at spackle. I know what I'm doing wrong now, so I'll be better at that. And that's one of the things that happens too. When you do things, you get better at doing things. You figure out what you're doing wrong, and you correct those issues. So a lot of when you see people that are really good at doing a lot of stuff, it's not that they're really good at doing a lot of stuff. They're just willing to do these things and figure out how to do it. I mean, I'm not saying rush in and go try to do some electrical work in your house. I mean, you have to know what you're doing. Like, you can't just guess at it. Like, if you're unsure, something like that, you should absolutely not attempt, because the downside to making a mistake there is painful death. But if you know what you're doing with just about anything else that's not dangerous, there's no harm in giving it a try. Like, plumbing is generally not that dangerous, so you can do it. It's a hassle if you can't do it right. So, like, if you're trying to fix a pipe or fix it under your bathroom sink, that's one of the ones that's happened to me multiple times. The drain, I think it's a P-trap or whatever, that thing that goes round and down, like, they rot out, especially if you have an older house. Once it gets clogged, here's a mistake that you can avoid making yourself. When those get clogged, you try to plunge them, it doesn't work. Sometimes you know that there's something down there. One of the worst things you can do, and I've done this multiple times, is take a hanger and try to push a hanger down into the drain, because what's generally happened, especially if it's an older P-trap, is the curve, that pipe right there, has corroded to the point where a lot of times it's just a very thin layer of metal and paint that's holding it together. So when you stick an unfurled hanger down there to try to push the block through or catch the hair, you're going to poke right through the pipe. And you may not believe me, but it's absolutely true. If it's an older pipe and it's clogged and you stick a hanger down there, you're replacing the pipe for sure. You probably have to replace it anyway, and that gives you an excuse to do it. But you should probably just accept the fact. Like, you should check it out, get down there, check it for corrosion, feel it. If it feels soft at all, that means the paint is the only thing holding the water inside, and you have to replace that pipe. And it's not hard to do. You just have to do it. And the first time you do it, you may make a bunch of mistakes. You won't understand how compression fittings work. You might buy the wrong size pipe. But you do it, you learn. You can look it up. You can watch a YouTube video on it. You can read it. I'm really old, so I used to have a lot of how-to fix it around your house books. So you look through those, and you learn how to do all these things. So, like, I've had people say, "How do you learn to do all that?" You just do it. You have to do it to learn how to do it. Unless that's your career. Like, yes, you can go to school to learn all this stuff, but no homeowner is going to go to, like, carpentry school because they own a house. You learn what you need to learn. Like, you've got your regular skill set that you use to earn an income, and then you just learn these other things along the way, and you use them. Like, because it sucks to call a contractor for every little thing, or every big thing. Not to mention, like, in today's world, I have had an incredibly hard time finding contractors. Like, I used to have a contractor that would do a lot of stuff for me, not around my house, but for other things, and you can't find them anymore. It is very difficult, and if you find somebody that's good, they're busy. They don't have time for you. Speaking of bad contractors, I told a story in a previous episode about the party room remodeling and putting it off because of moisture on the wall. I'm thinking about telling long and boring story about why that is and like what happened and the whole sequence of events. I don't know that I have enough time. I mean, I have enough time to tell the short version of the story, but this is like a really protracted story, and I think it really deserves its own focus. Like just because of the nature of the story, and it serves as a great warning to others to be careful who you hire and what you agree to, because it can really bite you in the ass. So I won't tell that story right now. I'll wait until later. See what I mean about sweater riding up, hiding my ugly tie? It's horrible. I like to cook. I'm an okay cook. I'm not a chef. For most of my life, I was a very, very bad cook. There's a few things like I can throw together really quickly now. Like, I can make a really nice steak dinner quickly. Chicken, fish, like all those. Believe it or not, like they show these on cooking shows, but this stuff is actually very, very easy to cook. But there's other things to make. Like I was thinking about doing some cooking videos, but it's kind of overdone. I like watching them. Like I could watch cooking shows all day. I love learning about technique. I love watching food. I like to eat, so I like watching it for ideas. So like over the years, to explain very, very briefly, like how my cooking has gotten better over the years, is I didn't know how to cook at all when I was young, to the point where I wanted steaks one day and I didn't know how to cook them. I was very young at the time. I was older than 12, but I don't know exactly how old I was. But one day I wanted some steaks, so I went out and I bought some steaks and I wanted to cook them, and I knew how to cook hot dogs, so I just figured you cook steaks the same way. Yes, I boiled some steaks for myself. I got in trouble for that. My mom was very mad at me for buying steaks and boiling them. I got much better at cooking steak. Yeah, so I mean, like, just boiling, no seasoning, no nothing, just terrible. Now it's a completely different story with steak. Another thing I used to do, and I still do, not as much, was I used to experiment back before I knew how to cook, and I would try different things. And one of the things I tried, I haven't tried since. I don't know if it was good or bad. I made, and like, it's not something difficult to make. I made tuna fish, but I wanted it to be different. So I crisped up some bacon first, got some bacon really crispy, then I made tuna fish, and then I broke up the bacon in the tuna fish. At the time, I was living with my parents, and my cousin was there. I can't remember exactly why she was living with us, but she was. And so it was funny, is like there was two completely polar opposite reactions. My cousin and my stepfather both had ended up making sandwiches at approximately the same time, and my cousin's, "Oh, why is it crunchy?" It's like, "Oh, I put bacon in it." She was thoroughly disgusted. She thought it was the grossest thing she had ever heard of. My stepfather thought it was great. I don't remember how it is. I remember what tuna fish tastes like. I remember what crisp bacon tastes like. I don't remember what this tasted like together. I'm going to say I liked it, based on no factual evidence whatsoever. I can't remember if I did or not. I'm going to say I did. I'm just going to stand by it. But I'm torn because making little cooking shorts, like things I make, like there's certain things, like I've got signature biscuits, like I've got my own chili, but they're boring to watch. I mean, I've got my biscuit mix. I mix it up. I put it on a tray. I make kind of like drop biscuits. They're not kneaded. They're kind of pulled apart, so they're like little meteors. But there's no real technique to share there, other than just my recipe, and I think that would be boring. Like I can show you how I cook a steak, but I mean, you've already got Gordon Ramsay showing you how to cook a steak, so you don't need to see me cooking a steak. So I don't know if a cooking short makes any sense, unless I can come up with an interesting dish that has some interesting technique. The other thing is, I was thinking like I said, Matt says, not Matt, friend who should not be named, who will not be named, unnamed friend has suggested, how to do this, how to do that. Like, and I'm trying to think, like, I could talk through possibly some, like my mind is blank. I can't think. Like, I know how to do lots and lots of fixes, repairs. I know hacks. I know all this, like, just none of them are coming to me. And that's part of the reason why I'm making these videos, to try to get more comfortable, because you do get that. Your brain, my brain cramps up. Like, this is still very uncomfortable, even though this is episode 5, I guess, of the driving ones. We still have not aired episode 2, probably won't. I think that's just going to become a running gag. People are going to wonder if I even recorded an episode 2. It'll get aired if I ever, once I get comfortable with editing, there will be, just to get it, oh Jesus, you guys didn't see that, but this guy just came right out of like this little T-junction driveway thing off to the side, like just his nose was practically touching my car. So I said it earlier, in case people skip into the middle and land exactly right here. Just a reminder, I'm going to be doing a live stream at 5 o'clock today for my viewer. Hopefully he can all sign in. When you start a YouTube channel, depending, I don't know what the criteria is, but I'm suspecting that most of the time you cannot live stream. You don't just automatically get the ability to live stream. You can't monetize. Like, in order to start any kind of monetization on your channel, you need to have I think 1,000 followers, and of course you can't have any strikes against you. There's content restrictions and stuff like that. But to live stream, once you decide to live stream, keep in mind that you can't just say, oh, you know what, tonight I'm going to do a live stream, because what can happen, and what probably does happen to most people, is once you decide you want to live stream, you have to wait 24 hours. There's a 24-hour countdown to when you can actually start live streaming. And after that, I believe you can start a live stream at any time, whether you're on a PC, mobile, or whatever you're doing. You'll have the ability to live stream. But don't, if you've started a YouTube channel and you're thinking about doing a live stream, keep in mind that you may not be able to do it right away. There is a 24-hour waiting period once you decide you want to live stream. that I've had the comparison, just so you guys know, Dunkin' Donuts coffee is better than Turkey Hill coffee, but it's not worth the price, even though you just watched me buy it again today. Like I said, force a habit, creature of habit. There's a drive-through there, not at Turkey Hill. There's also a drive-through at McDonald's, but I think the light was on. I just didn't think about it until I'd already driven past it. I wasn't going to do a U-turn just to get a cup of coffee. My viewer has said he would like me to get better lighting. Again, I don't know why. This is more of a this is a talking head video. I'm not doing a lot today. I made references to some visual things, like I was going to put the title to something down here. I can't remember what it was right now. Was it a word I couldn't think of? Was I going to put condemned down here? I don't know. I'll have to watch the video and find out. And then, of course, the Kevin Sorbo thing that I'm going to put there. But I mean, for the most part, these are just meant as just me talking on my way to work. So there's really no reason to watch it. It's something you should be able to listen to in the background. Well, not really. I mean, this is definitely not worth listening to. I don't think. I can't imagine why anybody would want to listen to me ramble on for an hour every morning. I'm rambling on in the morning. Who knows when they're listening? Like, if they're listening in the afternoon, for some reason that makes it feel worse. Like you're listening to my morning ramblings in the afternoon. That's I feel bad for you. I feel bad that you have to endure this. And why would you do that to yourself? What has happened in your life that has brought you to the point where you're listening to this? I'm not trying to be mean. I'm trying to be funny. Sometimes when I'm trying to be funny, it comes across as mean. What are you going to do? I was I don't know how easy it is. Like, I don't often see the posts. I follow a lot of channels. Like, I have quite a wide variety of channels I watch. Like, I'm a computer enthusiast. There's a lot of computer channels I watch. There's a lot of cooking channels I watch. There's a lot of machining channels I watch. A lot of scientists, astrophysicists, quantum physicists, math channels, things like that. The fuck was the point? Sorry, I distracted myself. A bunch of channels. Something about my channel. Oh, right. I don't know that I'm going to pull this together so it makes any cognitive sense. But anyway, I was asking. Oh, right. I don't see a lot of texts or like I see some, but I wonder. Like I have yesterday I put up some posts. Over the course of the channel, I've put posts up. I put a poll up. I had to let my viewer know that I had put a poll up so that they could respond to the poll. And then I was making just posts, like just text posts, not posting videos. And I don't know if they get seen. I don't know if they get the same weight as, like if you're subscribed to this channel, do you see those posts? Do they come up for you to respond to unless I tell you? Like I have trouble finding them, but I'm new to doing content on YouTube. The way I get to my posts is I go to my studio and I go to the community tab, and that's where they show the posts that I've made. So that's like where I announce there's going to be a live stream and things like that. But I'm just curious if you could reply in the comments to this. Do you see the posts that I put up without having to search for them, or were you only aware of them because I told you they were there? as I said yesterday, yesterday I made a post relatively early stating that I wouldn't be releasing any content on Wednesdays, and then promptly released 2 videos and a few posts. So when I did go to casinos, one of the things I like to play, like I like to play it at home too, but I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's hard to get friends to come over. And my daughter likes it too. I like playing Texas Hold'em. It's a fun game. When I'm at the casinos, it's tough. Like I've done it. It's difficult to play at the poker tables because not that I'm not good at reading people or anything like that. I'm bad with people. I'm very nervous. Like I hate being around people. Like I do have social anxiety, so like it's really bizarre. Like I really want to. I'd like to say I'm like not dump tons of money into gambling. I know gambling in general is a bad bet. Obviously, if you're playing any of the automated things, everything's against you. You know, roulette, the house, the odds are stacked against you. So almost all casino games are stacked against you. The odds are in favor of the house, so you'll be up and down, but on a long enough timeline, you're losing money. So, like if you're going there playing slot machines, yeah, every once in a while you're going to win, but over the long haul, you don't win. There are certain exceptions to that rule, and it depends on your skill level and who you're playing with. So I think the only 2 exceptions I can think of are blackjack and poker. Like if you're playing poker not against the house, if you're playing against a bunch of people, it's just skill against skill, obviously, and luck. Blackjack, it's a different story. To win at blackjack, because if you just follow the rules, you're going to lose. Just like any other game, the odds are stacked against you. In order to win, to consistently win at blackjack, you have to be really good, and you have to be playing for a lot of money. Because if you're really good and you're just playing for a little bit of money, you're just wasting your time. You're not making money. But in order to win at blackjack, to take advantage of everything, you have to be in the right situation. Like it has to be a deck that doesn't get shuffled after every hand. Like you need to have like a 6 deck shoe would be perfect, especially if they at least play halfway through the shoe, because you the main way, like it's not illegal, but it's going to get you kicked out if you're, especially if you get caught doing it. But knowing the difference between a hot and a cold deck, being able to I don't want to say count cards, but it's what it is. It's card counting, knowing how many high cards and low cards are left in the deck, which is a pretty easy skill to learn, and then apply it. I mean, the skill is easy to understand. To actually do it live at a table takes some practice. But if you can do that and you understand the rules behind what you're supposed to do in situations, then you flip the odds slightly in your favor. I think you can get up to a 0.5%, 0.5% or 0.7%. I forget. I have to look it up or do the math again. But you can get the odds to fall in your favor that tiny little bit, and that's all you need. If you're doing the long haul play and you follow the rules and you're good at doing this, then by having 0.5% in your favor, that means for every dollar that you bet, you're going to be winning a half a cent back. That's why I say it's like you have to be willing to dedicate the time, and you have to be willing to you have to be good, and you have to have a bankroll, because there's going to be back and forth, and it's going to take you forever to make any money with that kind of return on your bet. And it costs a lot of money to get that good. Like you can practice at home all you want. When you're there, it's a different environment. So obviously, I don't make my living gambling. I haven't been at a casino for a long time, and I haven't practiced those skills of keeping the number of high and low cards left in the deck. And I don't even know if there's anybody that does deep shoes like that without reshuffling, because that's what has to happen. Like the first few hands, there is no advantage. So you could play. So here's the other downside to that. If it ends up being a very well mixed deck, and you don't get a bunch of high cards left in the deck, then why is that guy driving so slow? Then there is no advantage to knowing this skill, because you can't take advantage of it because you're not in a situation where you can swing the odds in your favor. So there's a lot of minutia. Like it's more detailed than like what I explained here. I made it sound simple, and it's not too much more complexity than that, but it's still something. If you're going to go get yourself kicked out of a casino by counting cards, read up on it first and make sure you understand all the skill sets involved. I think we're somewhere in the area of 5 minutes away from the point where I have to stop recording. And I've noticed a pattern, like when I get to this point, not that I had anything to talk about the entire way, but I get panicky. Like I'm trying to, like, man, I've been at this for over an hour. It's getting close to the end. I really hope I come up with something to talk about soon. And I suspect I won't. I'm not being defeatist. I just, like I said, I came into this again with no plan. Mainly doing stream of consciousness stuff, which I do apologize for. When my unnamed friend asked me to do this, I'm sure he thought for sure I would be dumping like interesting little nuggets, stories, how-tos, life hacks, things like that. And I've sorely disappointed him. It's just me rambling, trying to get comfortable, talking, and then publishing. Which, like I said, even though it's just me and the camera, I know people are watching it, and it is difficult. Not as difficult as really being in front of people and talking, but it's there, you know what I mean? And it's like, there's also that childhood fear that goes along with it. You're always self-conscious. You think you look foolish. Well, in my particular case, I know I look foolish, especially with this lovely sweater. Also, in the comments, as I said earlier, I have no sense of style. Tell me if this is actually an ugly sweater or not. And does it make my ass look big? Also have this terrible fear, like I'm looking at the colors, like, is this a woman's sweater? In case you didn't know, I'm not a fan of the color blue. I actually hate the color blue, which is bizarre because like everything is blue. The sky's blue, the ocean's blue. Not every shade of blue, just, well, you can say all of them. I like the color cobalt. I think that's a really nice color. But that's it. Like when it comes to blues, that's like just about the only blue I like. I have this one blue outfit, and I just like, I wear it every once in a while. Again, it's funny to me because like, I think just about anybody who knows me knows that I don't like the color blue. I like to be vocal about how much I hate the color blue. It's just part of being me is hating the color blue. So every once in a while I have this outfit: blue shirt, blue pants, blue tie, and I just like, I wear it to work like maybe once a year. Whoa! So the Range Rover in front of me nearly crashed into what looks like a Chevy, some kind of Quest vehicle. It's a minivan. They're still beeping at each other. Like, he made a mistake. What are you gonna do? Kill him? He's clearly very mad. It's a Quest SV. It must be some kind of delivery vehicle. It's got a number on the back and it says hiring drivers, and it's got a phone number. Another friend of mine who's aware of my channel, who probably doesn't watch it, is, I don't know if he's joking or not, but he's in this, I guess he watches other YouTubers that use this format, and he's surprised that I don't do any kind of political rants. I probably won't. Again, that's something I think if I was to talk about something, if I was to talk about politics, I would prefer it to be in a dialogue type setting. Like if I was doing a like if I was doing a live stream, or if I had somebody else on, I would prefer to have a dialogue about politics. Actually, my preference is to not talk about politics, but if I had to, I wouldn't want to do it standalone. I don't want to just say what I think, because if you don't agree with me, or if you have a very different position, it could rub you the wrong way, and what'll happen is you'll be building up all this stuff in your head that, like, no, that's not correct, like, and you want to respond, and you can't because you're watching a recording, and it can make you mad. A lot of people are that way, where not that it's a bad thing, but if you don't agree with what I'm saying, and I continue to go down that route, to you, I may look misinformed. You'll be mad. You won't understand why my view is the way my view is. So I'd like to, if I'm going to talk about something like politics or religion, I'd like to do it in a format where I'm having a debate with another person, so that you don't just keep digging this deep hole that you can't climb out of in their mind, because they haven't had a chance to, like, explain why they don't agree with your point, because there's a lot of nuance. When you say, I think this, that could be interpreted a lot differently than what you mean to say, meaning that words aren't perfect, communication isn't perfect, people aren't perfect. So when I say I believe this, this, and this, you may have thoughts in your head about what I said, what those words mean, and you could very possibly infer things that aren't actually true. And that's why I like if I'm going to have a debate, like if you're talking about that stuff, it's nice to have a debate, because when you do that, or even if I misspeak, if I say something I didn't mean to say, which happens all the time, someone can call you out on that. They can ask you to clarify it, and then, it could go either way. They could be mad because, like, no, they could, like, say, I don't agree with that. But at least there's that possibility of clarification. The other issue with talking about stuff like that in this particular format at this time is that, like I said, or I didn't say this, but I alluded to it, like it's morning, I'm driving to work, I'm tired, my brain is on autopilot. Like, a good portion of my functions are focused on driving, so I'm not completely focused on what I'm saying. I'm not completely focused on my audience, and I apologize for that, but that's what it is. This is being done while I'm driving to work, so I have to focus on my driving. So the brain is on autopilot, so there are chances that I'll be saying things that I don't necessarily mean because I'm not self-editing as much as I would if I was sitting in front of a person, focused on them and having an actual debate. I'm going to try to do the same trick I did yesterday. I'm going to post-process this while the phone is post-processing. I'm not doing any editing. I'm just doing what I need to do to get this into a format that I can get it to YouTube. So it requires me hitting like 3 buttons and letting my phone sit for an hour, and then another couple of hours to get it up on the interwebs. So that being said, I think you may have guessed at this point that we're at the area where I've got to say, have a wonderful day.